Hey there, it's Jen Schow, and today on the Pink Paislee blog, or this week on the blog, we're talking about using paper pads. So one of my favorite ways to use paper pads is to punch stuff out of them. I love the 6x6 paper pads especially because the patterns are smaller and you don't feel bad kind of cutting into it, if you know what I mean. So I've just pulled out all of my paper pads from all of the various collections of Pink Paislee that I have, and I'm just punching pinked circles. And I'm also punching regular circles that are a little bit smaller. So I mostly used the Wild Child, Confetti Wishes, and Take Me Away, and Pick Me Up collections for this. And I'm just punching out a ton of circles because what I want to do is my pink circle slightly larger than the regular circle that I'm doing, and I'm going to layer these up and create some fun layered circles for the background of my page. And I'm excited about that. I think it's going to look super fun, and it turns out cute, I think, anyway. So just punching a ton of circles. Some of these I don't end up using, but here are the circles all done. I've chosen a background paper, and here's another thing I love about while I'm just pairing these up, I'll tell you what I love about the 12x12 paper pads is that a lot of the papers have specialty treatments like the gold foiling. And so I chose a paper from the, I can't remember what collection it is now that I'm saying this. I think it's the Turn the Page collection, and I think I said Take Me Away, but it's Turn the Page, and you'll see, I'll come back to it in a minute. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just pairing up my pinked circles and my regular circles, trying to get kind of like, I want an even balance of color, and I don't want the circle on top to disappear. And so I'm choosing papers that contrast well with each other and just kind of pairing everything up. I've got my two piles and just putting circles on top of circles. And then what I'm going to do is pop all of those middle circles up on foam squares. So I usually use foam, like the fun foam, but in this case, because they were circles and I would have to cut so much of it, I just decided to use these little foam squares that I have, and it made it a lot faster. And I ended up like kind of distressing the edges of the inner circles just so they'd stand out a little bit more. And I started with my scissors, but I ended up using my fingers. So here I'm kind of playing around with the background. The background has hexagons on it, and these circles fit within each hexagon, and I loved that. So I'm playing with the idea of putting each of these circles inside of a hexagon and just seeing how I want to do this. I decided to kind of create a border on the left-hand side of my layout. And so I'm going to play around a bit and see how I want to arrange these. So that will take up a little bit of time, but it's a really simple process. So here I've got kind of what I want to do. And I kind of, at this point, was thinking I need some more contrast. Like the background is overtaking a little bit. And so I pulled out these thickers, and I'm going to use some of them for my layout. I'm trying to figure out what I want my title to be. But in a minute here, I'm going to put some gesso on the background to kind of tone it down a little. So I can't decide what I want my title to be. I like the So Fun right there, but that's not really my title. At this point, I've kind of decided I'm going to do something that says Play On, and I had all of the yellow letters from this thickers set that is multicolored, but I could do the whole title in yellow, and I liked that. And so here I'm putting on the gesso on the background just to tone it down a little bit. I'm not going to put it on the entire background, and I'm just using my finger to smudge the edges so it doesn't have like the harsh lines. I don't want any harsh lines on it. And it's just white gesso from Liquitex, I think. And I'll let that dry a little bit. And because I'm impatient, I bring my heat tool over and dry it up. And now I'm going to place down all of my circles. So I'm just using liquid adhesive because it's fast and easy. And I'm just going to place down the circles within those hexagons like I mentioned before. And I will bring in some thickers for my title as well as embellishment. And I do have to apologize because this video will cut out early. My camera died at the end and I just had a few more things to add, so I just decided to keep going rather than wait for my camera to charge or to plug it in. And so I will explain during the still shots at the end kind of how I finished it up. But here you can see I'm just arranging the circles, and I'm trying to make sure that the same pattern isn't right next to each other, and that there's some blue and green and pink all kind of spread out. And I'm just filling up 4 rows and putting each circle within a hexagon. And I really like the way that kind of fills in the spaces. I think it's a fun technique, and I had fun making it. It's like really simple, but it takes a little bit of busy work, like the punching and the gluing, which doesn't bother me at all. I love stuff like that. It helps kind of relax me. And so if that's something that you find relaxing is to play with paper, then this is a fun technique to try. So here I have my photo, and it's of my nephew and my niece, and they are playing the piano at my house, and they are just so cute together. They're just a few months apart, I think 5 months maybe less, and I'm trying to see if I want to put a photo mat on the back of the photos at all, or of the photo at all, and I decide to just mat it slightly with this aqua colored paper, and then I decided to cut it up, and I'm going to do some messy layers. So I'm using some of the papers, I'm sorry I'm out of frame, but I'm using some of the papers that I used to punch circles from to put as layers behind my photos, because I don't want to waste anything, and these papers, you can still see the edges of them, and so I just kind of hid all of the spots where there's a hole and put it behind the photo so you can't really tell. And so there's a few layers behind my photo, and I'll keep layering up these 6x6 papers. That's another thing I love to do with these paper pads, is use them for layering pieces, especially 6x6 papers. And if you haven't seen my 6x6 paper pad love series, check that out. It's my most popular YouTube series, and I show 10 different ways to use 6x6 paper pads on your layouts, and that's one of them, is layering up behind your photo. Just if you use a bunch of different pieces and just lay them together, you can create a kind of cool photo mat. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm using my double-sided tape mostly on this layout, just because I had it handy, and sometimes I like peeling off the back of the double-sided tape. I find it fun in a weird way. So after this, I'm going to put my title on, and I have some thickers that say Solid Gold Baby, and so I'm going to pull out a bunch of different things that have to do with music and kind of play around with those. Again, this is going to cut out early in just a minute here. But what I'll end up doing is layering some embellishments on top of the circles, and then a few other things around the photos, which you will see in the still photos here in just a second, as I mentioned. I put the Solid Gold Baby right above Play On, which I just thought was kind of funny. And then I have some die cuts that I am pulling here, you can see, that's going to cut out now. But here is the final layout with embellishment on top of the circles. I used Puffy stickers and some of the haberdashery kit from the Pick Me Up collection. I also did my journaling on 3 of the little circles just to incorporate it into the design. I added some die cuts from the Wild Child collection. So I hope that you've enjoyed. I'll link to all available products in the video description below. Head over to the Pink Paislee blog to see more, and thanks so much for watching.